I know I keep harping on this, but I'm just going to keep saying it for as long as I can before someone shuts me up. Mainly, someone in the Donald Trump regime or one of his MAGA supporters try to shut me up. Donald Trump is a stone-cold racist. He has shown himself to be a stone-cold racist. Every day he speaks, he shows himself to be a stone-cold racist. And now that he is back in power, his racism has increased 100-fold. Not only with the elimination of DEI programs to make sure everyone in this country has a fair chance, but also going so far as eliminating civil rights protections for people of color in this country. On January 21st, he says by ending illegal discrimination and restoring merit-based opportunity, i.e., keep the black people down and promote and hire only people that look like me and who voted like me. This is the mindset of Donald Trump. His efforts to revoke the Equal Employment Opportunity Rule signed by then-President Lyndon Johnson in 1965. The Civil Rights Act of '64, which still has a law today, had a loophole that excluded federal employees. Obviously, he's trying to make that loophole go out not only to federal employees, but to private businesses as well. It's only a matter of time before that happens. Trump has already appointed people who will do his bidding to end civil rights in this country. Just yesterday, meaning January the 30th, Donald Trump held a news conference about the mid-air collision in the D.C. area. Now, I did a video on this previously. He might as well have just said, it's the black people's fault. It's the women's fault. Because at that press conference, he proceeded to blame DEI, diversity, equality, and inclusion, for the crash, without any kind of evidence. And the fact is, we're getting evidence that the pilot of the passenger plane was white. That the unfortunate pilot of the Black Hawk helicopter was white. That the air traffic controller in charge of this tragedy was white. Now, mind you, I don't care about race. This thing needs to be investigated, and the cause of the crash needs to be made public. But given to the facts that I've just stated, Donald Trump's DEI argument, which is code for it's the Negro's fault, replace that N-word with the other N-word, it's the bitch's fault, as in the women, because he's still angry about women he can't fuck, obviously. Those arguments fall by the wayside. But I'm getting a little off topic here, so let's get back on it. The fact is, the MAGA, especially the black MAGA voters who voted for Donald Trump, those who tap danced around him, like Tim Scott and Byron Donalds, they're the ones who voted and supported for the destruction of civil rights in this country because of a madman who is a racist. It's no different than a house Negro asking his master, his slave master, please beat me again. Please, please beat me again. That is what you have done to this country. You voted and you tap danced and you shucked and jived for a man who is nothing more than a wannabe plantation owner. And you voted for him like a slave. And I have no sympathy for them whatsoever. Because you voted for a man who is ripping this country apart. And to make it 10 times worse, you voted for a man who wants to take away some of the most sacred traditions of this country for African Americans and women in this country. I'm going to read to you a memo that was recently uncovered from the DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency. The subject of the memo: pause on special emphasis programs and related activities and events. 1. The agency is working internally within the department to implement the executive orders ending racial and wasteful government DEI programs and prefacing and receiving questions across the workforce on the way forward with special emphasis programs, special observances, agents, resource groups, affinity groups, and employee networking groups. 2. DIA will pause all activities and events related to agency special emphasis programs effectively, immediately, and until further notice. Additionally, special observances hosted throughout the year by the command element directories and special offices are also paused. These include observances related to the following, and you see the whole list of holidays here. Notice the lists of what they say here: Martin Luther King's birthday in January, Black History Month in February, Women's History Month, Holocaust Days and the Days of Remembrance, Asian American Pacific Islanders Heritage Month, Pride Month, Juneteenth, Women's Equality Day, National Hispanic Heritage Month, National Disability Employment Awareness Month, and National American Indian Heritage Month. Now, you see the stars emphasis on the stars on Martin Luther King Jr. birthday and Juneteenth, and they say the pause will not affect the federal holidays. Who are the hell are you people trying to kid? You really think that you're going to exclude federal holidays like Martin Luther King Day or Juneteenth? You people hate that shit. You hate those days. You hate the fact that we celebrate a man who is a hell of a lot better than the man you worship, Donald Trump. A man who literally put his money where his mouth was, to fight for equality, to fight for freedom in this country. And as for Juneteenth, you hate the fact that we celebrate when African Americans were emancipated and freed from slavery, receiving the final freedom from bondage, the same kind of bondage that you wish African Americans were in today. You hate that. But you know what? We're still going to celebrate it. At least I am still going to celebrate it. I already know the MAGA hates my guts. And the fact is, I've been receiving death threats and remarks about my family all over social media. But the fact is this: you're not going to intimidate me, and you're not going to stop me unless you do something drastic to do so. And you don't have the guts for that, unless you wait for your boss, Donald Trump, to give you the order. And I hope that everyone else out there does the same thing. Those holidays are sacred to us. Now, they may not mean anything to Donald Trump because he's a fucking scumbag, and the rest of the MAGA who voted for him, regardless of what color you are scumbags. Even those who are expressing regret in supporting him and voting for him are scumbags. See, I keep saying this in every video. We warned you of what Donald Trump is, but you ignored those warnings. And you put every single threat to me and the rest of us who didn't vote the same way you did. You put this whole thing on yourselves. So don't come crying and bitching because it all is going to fall on your heads when the time comes. CTP, know the truth, God bless. Peace to the left, justice to the right.